This episode of the Siam Hockey League News is brought to you by the Big Chili Magazine, where in this issue there's a great article titled Work on Bangkok's New Forest Park Moves Quickly Ahead. So we've just finished off week 11 in the Siam Hockey League, and we've had some really good... Our first game, I thought, was a great game on many different levels. It was a bad game on also a lot of different levels, but
it was a tale of contrasts, I would say.
Yeah.
The juxtaposition in this game between the first, let's call it 90% of the game,
yeah,
and the control by the first team,
mm-hmm.
and then the complete reversal in the final 5.5 minutes of this game, and the other team just kind of snuck up and atoned for some of their earlier mistakes and won this game. If you liked offense, my goodness, this week was for you.
Well, I was talking to Yohani while you were in your broadcast, and this game was purely a game between physicality and skill.
Sure.
Which was a lot of fun to watch, me being a physical player, but
Mm-hmm.
I also really, really enjoy watching skilled players. I wouldn't say I'm one of the most skilled players, but I am definitely, you can ask a lot of the guys that play against me. I'm one of the more physical guys on the ice. I don't check them, but I am a very physical player. But yeah, this was absolutely a game of physicality versus a game of skill. And what I think happened, and listening to some of the guys talk on the team that was physical,
Mm-hmm.
that last half of the third period, there was no gas left in the tank.
All right, that can happen. That's the risk reward of that style of play, isn't it? It sometimes bears fruit in the final moments of the game if you yourself still have the legs.
Yes.
Right? Because it's taken a toll on both teams.
Yes, it does. And it's cool. I mean, let's go ahead. We've done enough
Illusion
and beating around the bush. Let's go ahead and get into it. I mean,
this game had a beautiful back and forth action for the first few minutes. You told me later that might have been because of a few swallowed whistles. We'll leave it at that. But it was really good back and forth action, and about 6 minutes left in the first period, our first goal of the game scored on the power play.
Power play because Winnie was called for slashing, unfortunately. And a part of that was, I think Winnie was retaliating because Siam Mandalay decided to play a more physical game.
Mm-hmm.
And being on both sides of the coin in that, sometimes you get frustrated and you lash out.
Sure. Prior to this, Siam, excellent special teams on this evening, had a penalty themselves to Yin, and they did an excellent job in the PK, killing time, getting it in the opposite zone, and near the midway point or so of this penalty, or near the end of this penalty, power play, I should say, for KCG, they took their own penalty, and as you said, it was the slash.
Yep.
Almost immediately off of their power play, Siam Mandalay just doing right things, wins face-offs, keeps possession of the puck.
Great job cycling the puck on the power play.
And between defensemen, Phelps sets up Yin. Yin was such a strong shot, and on, I believe it was a deflection or potentially a rebound, Ernesto Bauer gets the power play goal.
He's a little bulldog. He's going to fight you in front of the net every time, and he was there to make the play. I'll tell you what, I've been going through the stats from the beginning of the Siam Hockey League, and Ernesto is there always throughout the season. Do you know what I mean? He's always... Sure. He's got an assist in there. He's got a goal in there, and so I'm thinking back while I'm looking at these stats, because I'm looking up some information for Maddie, and I'm looking up these stats, and it's like remembering these games and like, oh yeah, there was a scrap in front of the net, and Ernesto got the puck. Oh yeah, there was a scrap on the boards, and Ernesto got the puck and passed it to the open man in front of the net. Ernesto
makes plays.
He makes plays. He's a little bulldog. He doesn't quit, doesn't give up. And that's, for me, that's one of the fun things to watch when Ernesto plays.
I like grinders. I like the underdog, and he has that style. This isn't a kind of a funny example, but back when the Blackhawks were starting this run, you had Troy Brouwer. Troy Brouwer, professional hockey player, was that type of a player on a team full of high-talent players. This is early Pat Kane, early Jonathan Taves players. Anyway, point being, Ernesto is one of these grinders.
Yes, he is.
And he always ends up on the score sheet, so well-deserved. And then not long after that, KCG with a response.
Yeah, absolutely. With Harrison hitting Jan Isaksson with the pass for the goal, which was really pretty.
Face-off won by Jesse. So small things. You win the face-off.
Yep.
Try and get a shot on goal. Look for rebounds. Look for deflections. Look for screens. What can you do to try and be in those high-quality areas?
Absolutely, and it's fun to see. I mean, we get to the second period, and it's not that KCG quit, but they weren't producing like they should have.
And there's a couple of key moments in these plays and throughout the game. You have certain moments where either a takeaway because of being a little bit too careless with the puck, trying to stretch pass. You see guys then emotionally respond to that,
thinking they're in the clear, and they get their pocket
or
picked.
They're angry, right, because of exactly your pocket got picked, and you don't skate hard enough getting back into the play. You give the opportunity a scoring chance. You see that happen. Turner Johnson being opportunistic, steals the puck at the blue line from Poon, skates down on a breakaway, good move, scores the goal.
Yep, and again, it was another one of those pretty goals. So Turner, when Turner decides to turn on the magic, it's quite fun to watch. So
soon after that, KCG skating okay, but credit really to Siam Mandalay. They kept the puck to the outside, did not allow a lot of second chance opportunities. Sometimes we're blocking the shots, sometimes KCG was missing the net. I just kept saying this to myself, too many passes. Look for the simple play. Try and get the puck on the net. Look for a rebound, look for a deflection, look for a greasy goal. Too often they were trying to go cross ice, and when you do one too many times, it can hurt you.
Well, sometimes the cross ice passes aren't so bad. I mean, there were a few times where they should have taken the cross ice pass and they decided to wrap it around the boards instead, and that gets you into trouble as well. So you really have to.
I can respect that. My opinion, I'm traditional, I'm simple. Crash the net, shoot the puck at the net when you have the opportunity. When you give up a shot on goal, I personally think that's the bad play. Now, certainly there's a lot of nuance here, but my opinion, if you have a chance, shoot.
Yep, true. You can't score a goal if you don't shoot.
Second period continues. Crash line again, doing really well. You get a long clear from this KCG zone. There's not anybody really back playing defense, skating hard. You saw Tan skate hard to the boards. Roscoe has a decision as a defenseman, and you've been in this position yourself. He can either follow the guy with the puck or he can protect the goal. In my opinion, as the commentator, I wish he would have stayed there, because what happens, Tan gets the puck and just feeds Turner Johnson streaking hard, tap and goal.
Yeah, I mean, it's a hard call. In that particular play, I think Roscoe made the right call. Okay, because he was on the boards. There was a chance of isolating him and the puck. He missed the puck, took himself out of the play.
And
if they
were coming
down,
didn't support him either.
That happens as well.
You got to skate hard back. How many guys take themselves out of these plays?
Yeah, when you're coming down when the opposing team's coming down the ice, and say it's a 2-on-1 or a 3-on-2, more importantly, like a 2-on-1, for me, I've always been taught you take the man without the puck, unless you're right there. But if you have to make a decision and like you're between, you take the man without the puck, because that way your goaltender has a better chance of keeping his eyes on the puck and be better aligned for the shot.
And in this particular context, for people who didn't necessarily watch the game, the puck is behind the net, right? So it's not even a high-quality scoring angle at this point.
Right.
So I just think he should have stayed home, protected the net. And again, his teammate wasn't really skating hard to try and help get back either, and that's why Turner Johnson had nobody stopping him to get the goal.
Yep.
So increase the lead 3-1, and then going into the third period, that doesn't stop. Crash line again.
Early in the third period.
Getting the puck out front, and Darius, just being opportunistic, gets a steal and scores.
That was it's Darius being the grinder that he is. He's always a scrappy player, and he came up with the puck. And
the deficit could have been worse, but Leo Liao made several odd man rushes and even breakaway saves.
Yes, he did.
And
you can't take anything away
4-1. Halfway through the third period, down to the final 5 minutes of the third period, it looks like Siam Mandalay just played harder in this game, and then it was like you flipped a switch.
And the skill, I think what happened was the skill really kind of took control of the game. I mean, I could hear Jan Isaksson and Harrison trying to get their guys fired up, which it obviously finally worked going into the third period. The physical game is, if you're the one who's being physical, if you're not used to that type of play, it is a very exhausting game. And I think what happened is Siam Mandalay they ran out of gas halfway through the third period.
Do you think that the KCG was the more physical team?
No, I think Siam Mandalay is the more physical team. That's what I'm saying.
But they used themselves up too much. Okay, interesting. Well, without Leo...
KCG didn't... It was like KCG just kept doing their game. Although they weren't getting the goals, they were getting the shots. I mean, obviously, they had 27 shots. They were still making the plays.
A lot of that was in the third.
A lot of that was absolutely. A lot of that was in the third. But a lot of the things were stopped because Siam Mandalay was being a more physical team.
I'll agree with that. And you saw them being opportunistic with their chances, and that's what put them in this 4-1 position. And then 5.5 minutes left. Jan Isaksson just starts the rally.
Yep, he gets a goal. 5.5 minutes, which is then followed by a goal from Peam.
New addition recently. Good for him.
Good, being moved over.
Fed by Jesse and Harrison. Really happy to see Jesse and Harrison come back.
Sorry, it was Jesse and Poon.
Excuse me, I'm sorry, Jesse and Poon. Harrison, I miscalled your name there, but I will say both of you, Harrison, while you didn't necessarily get on the score sheet in this game, you were much more...
He got an assist in the first goal.
That's what I was trying to say. I'm looking at the score sheet and I'm looking at the wrong numbers. I'm sorry. We have it in the list and I'm looking at the wrong numbers. Both of you guys got back on the score sheet in this game after we specifically called you out, and you yourselves agreed that, hey, we, as the captain and as the top line, need to step up, and you did, along with Jan in this game, obviously.
Yep, Jan, and as well as Winnie when he wasn't in the box. So Patrick
with the birthday boy
with the game, he gets the assist on the tying goal,
but then the game winner with 30 seconds left.
That was so, just watching that breakaway was just, he put that, he just like shuffled his shoulders and it threw Dream off, and beautiful goal.
Up to this point, Dream and the Siam Mandalay team defense had played really, really well, and it's just, as you said, maybe they ran out of gas.
I think that's what happened. They ran out of gas halfway through the third period, and that would explain 4 unanswered goals, right there at the end.
5.5 minutes.
Yep. So,
and that's the story of this game. It was like watching black and white, right? It's just complete opposite, in my opinion, complete opposites, with how the game was going. KCG dug themselves this hole with some of these things we discussed. You got to skate hard. You can't give up the puck too easily. And you can't leave Leo on an island too much. He will bail you out sometimes, and he helped win this game for them.
He absolutely did. And then also you've got Jan Isaksson and Harrison Ostermel on the bench going, come on, guys, we're better than this. We can do this. We can get out of this. And they never quit. And because Harrison and Jesse and Jan didn't quit, that made the other guys on the team kind of step up their game, put it together. Which I think that's what happened in the first half of the third period. They were faster. They were making the plays. They were forcing Siam Mandalay to run around, trying to continue to play that physical game, missing the hits.
Sure.
And you run out of gas. So
if I'm trying, it's such a hard. If I'm thinking about the teams in the league and how I would stack them up, not just on a points basis, but if I want this game to win, who do I pick? And we all know who is number one. It's just, you can't deny it with their offensive talent and top to bottom. But number 2 is the question. And between these two teams, it's so tight. It's that razor-thin margin because they both can play so well. Turner Johnson, up until this point, was my player of the game. Played fantastically. And Yeen on defense was huge in this game, setting other people up, getting takeaways. Dream played really well in net, and then just kind of felt like it fell apart a little bit.
Yeah, it fell apart, like as we've said through this whole thing. It fell apart there in the third period, but again, you've got guys like Jan who just didn't quit, and obviously, I mean, he got a hat trick on the night,
4-point night,
the 4-point night, and it's just like, wow. So
well deserved. Here's the interview.
I'm here with the Rolling Stone Pizza Player of the Game, Jan. Congratulations.
Thank you. It was a huge win for us, so I'm glad.
What a comeback.
Yeah, I think everybody in the audience, including all the guys watching at home, didn't think we could come back, but it was a great win for us. We came back strong.
This looked very much like a game of physicality versus skill. And once again, skill proved out to be able to come back.
Yeah, I think they played very tough and felt like we had some trouble with that in the beginning of the game, but in the last period I felt like we came up strong and we ended up with a win, so that's great.
Excellent. Well, congratulations again.
Thank you very much.
So in our second game, we had Aware versus the Novotel Spitfires. And
coming into the, I just want to say this. I watched our videos again. I watch the news sometimes, and I rewatch the videos just for fun, right? And it's, also vain, watch myself. But coming into this game, what did we think? They had played, Aware had played so well in the prior game.
Yep.
They didn't get the result.
Nope.
But we thought they were building on it. Novotel had not flashed this level of dominance.
And since the beginning of the season.
I mean, they had, we know it was there.
Right.
But the parity in the league had gone way, in my opinion, which is a good thing, right? Had gone way back more to even. They were still the best, right?
Yep.
But the level was back down, and in the first period, this was just over immediately.
The first period was just like,
wow,
game over for Aware. I'm sorry, Aware. You guys, I don't know what you guys need to do to turn the rest of the season around for you, but
the good thing is the regular season does not matter. I will always give Lance.
It always matters. It matters in a different way. It matters not because you're going to get knocked out of the playoffs, because everybody makes it in the playoffs. But if you have a team like the Novotel Spitfires that, in a game like this, where they totally dominate you, and then you have to face off against them in possibly the first round of the playoffs, it's more of a mental game at that point.
Okay. I'm looking for the positives, and I'm looking to give people credit where credit's due and also call them out when it's due. I give Lance credit for never shying away from his responsibility. Mm-hmm. A lot of times he plays really well, and,
he'll be the first to tell you when he's had a bad game.
And he said he should have saved some of these. Yep. But, again, there's only so much you can do in net when,
Well, to giving credit where it's due, you give credit to Lance. He takes his bumps when he needs to, and he also is like, hey, did you see this? But you've got one thing that impressed me on the Aware side of the game was the teamwork between Masato, Roger,
and Kim. Already, it's only been 2 games now.
And they're just starting to gel, and it's just like, although they're the second line, they are the first line right now.
In terms of skill level and production, you can't argue with that.
And we'll get more into that here, but it's just, it's fun. It's like seeing Masato come awake, Roger looking for opportunities not only to pass the puck but also to put shots on net. Masato looking for opportunities to pass the puck and put shots on net. Kim has done something to these two that is, it's like he's woke them up.
Well, you saw flashes of this fire, right? But for whatever reason, as you say, Kim has been the kindling that's really blazed.
Yeah.
And, the foreign line, we'll call them, or I shouldn't even say foreign because there's a lot of Thai players too, but the other line between mostly Brendan, FBI John, and Captain Justin St. Denis, they have their moments too. I like the balance. We called it the prior week. I like the balance on that line, and they have moments. You guys got to start producing if you want your teams to be able to be successful.
Yes, you do.
Defensively, on paper, it's a great team, right? But whether it's too many giveaways, too many stretch passes, or just this was Novatel's night to remind everybody we are the kings of this league, within short order, it was a blowout.
Less than 2 minutes into the first period.
His first shift of the night.
Major with a goal, which was assisted by Andrew Ross.
But this was really the first, few minutes of the game. His first shift, he almost had a hat trick. This was just Major's time to shine.
Yeah, it was like less than 2 minutes into the game, first shift. Less than a minute later, scores his second goal.
Set up by Friesen, captain.
And then a couple of shifts later, he gets an assist on Friesen's goal. Wow.
So less than 7 or 6 minutes into this game, it's already 3 goals. And then less than a minute later after that, Stasny says, hey, don't forget about me, guys.
Yeah,
And this is how this team, look, just down the list, somebody will step up.
And they didn't do what... I can't play in the SHL. I'm not that my skill level is not that high. But I see things that I think will help a team.
Sure.
Roman should have focused on either Stasny or Friesen. You've got Dennis should have taken the other one.
Sure.
You have
Arnold,
who could have taken care of Kristoff.
And Tor.
And Tor could have taken care of Seb Verdi, who got on the score sheet. Ken, you can't. You always can't forget Ken
and
Jaren, and it's like you have the talent.
Somebody's. I agree with you. You got to mirror their best players because there's a reason.
You got to mirror your best defensive players against their best offensive players, and Justin didn't do that in this game, and Novotel Spitfires just said, you know what, this is our game.
And guy after guy just steps up. And to finish this 5-goal onslaught, we hadn't said his name to this point either. Ken Kinborn's like, hey, don't forget about me either.
Well, yeah, okay, so he gets the 5th goal in the night with Stasny and Scotty Murray getting assists.
So which went from major show in the first few minutes to then in a 3-minute stretch, 3 goals.
Yeah.
It was a barrage, and all of their top players had a hand in this.
So we're now at 5-0.
And it's not even a full 8 minutes into this game.
And it's just like,
and essentially the game was over.
Yeah, and it was just like, this is the Spitfires game. Holy cow. Of course, now, then you get a beautiful goal by Masato, who was set up by Roger. But
what do you do to
John.
yourself? You don't play to the full end of the game, and credit to his Stasny playing fully to the whistle. Final 15 seconds, he gets a steal from behind the net, brings it out to the front, stuffs it home.
Yep.
Right? It's the smart, simple play. Now, these guys obviously have a ton of skill. He comes from hockey royalty. But you look at his game, Friesen's game, Kinborn's game, Turner Johnson on Siam Mandalay, I'll say his name. A lot of these players, they just do the right thing. Their stick is on the ice. They play hard to the whistle. They never take themselves out of plays.
They did that time and time and time again in this game. They were back-checking when they needed to back-check.
And it produces results. You have Aware trying to claw back into this. It's now 5-2, and this just really hurts your momentum trying to get back going into the second period, excuse me.
And at the end of the first period, it is now 6-2. What do you do?
Well, even at this point, you say, all right, throw the first period away.
Yeah.
If we just win the second and third periods, let's hold our head high. We had a crap first period, but let's win the final 2/3 of the game and chalk it up to a moral victory. But unfortunately,
they started that way when Roger got his goal. The
fire between that line just continues, but the rest of the team...
They can't do everything.
Of course. I'm totally agreeing with you. You have 2 guys with 4-point nights, and that's not enough? For a normal team.
For a normal team playing another normal team.
But this was just Novatel's night to say, we are the kings of this. I almost wore my jersey tonight, but I was like, I need to be the commentator and be impartial. But just who at this point, if the season ends today, right, gun to my head, how can you not pick Novotel? Just top to bottom. They have played we haven't said his name once, but Ben, this is a so-so game for Ben statistically speaking, but he still stopped
what do you mean, so-so?
35 shots with only 4 goals allowed, right? But this is my point.
31 shots.
31 shots. A quiet game by him, still statistically a great game considering the volume he faces. You know what I mean?
He's quietly one of those. He and Leo are very humble. They always, it's my team. But you've got 31 shots and only 4 goals.
Yeah.
So you've got
final 2/3.
Then you have Lance, and I don't like to talk bad about Lance. I mean, Lance is a buddy, but. You've got. It's not all Lance. If
this was a bigger league with bigger players, but this is a game where you might have pulled him. And again, not all on him, right? I told Lance this myself. Chalk it up, man. Like, you're gonna have a bad game.
Yeah.
And that's what this was.
It's 9 goals on 35 shots.
The killer was the first. This is the killer. The killer was the first period. I was looking. I said this on the broadcast. I looked up at the scoreboard behind me, and I said, "There's 10 shots on goal
and
5 goals scored."
That's not good.
If you have
a lot of that, not a lot of that. It's a combination of two things. Lance is having a bad night. Aware the skaters are having a bad night.
So all I'm trying to say is, if you take that horrible first 10 shots, and so now you're left with 25 shots and 4 goals allowed on 25 shots, manageable, not horrible, not great, right? But if that's how you play the whole night versus, obviously the 50% in the first 10 shots, it's tough, right? It's tough for him. If Gabor was in this position, or any other goaltender, right? Like, there's only so much you can do when your team just feels like the wheels are falling off.
And it really, outside of those 3 skaters on the second line, Roger,
offensively, yeah,
okay, they really kind of did look like they were handicapped that night. They just weren't playing their game. They were off. Everybody else was just kind of, and it's tough,
This first 8 minutes is just a shocker, though. And when you get a haymaker to the head as a fighter, what do you do? Sometimes you lose the fight, right?
You lose the fight, or you cover up and wait for the next round and come out swinging.
Well,
try anyway.
it's not the best analogy, because it's 1 round versus the 5 goals scored. But anyway, how many different ways can we say change it up? You got to try something different. You got to communicate better.
Maybe start Masato and Kim and Roger in the next game. Start them up, and maybe they can get a goal. Who knows? And John, go back to hanging out in front of the net. You get those garbage goals.
He's got flashes of it, but yeah, I agree with you. And I mean, typically speaking, I like the chemistry between him and Brendan and Captain Justin St. Denis. They skate well together. They have we said it before, they have great balance, but I feel for them. I really want them to win.
Yeah, definitely. I want them to have more than one win going into the playoffs. They've got to. I have to continue looking at the stats, but at this point in the season, I don't think, even Hertz at their worst, when they were the worst team in the league, it wasn't like this.
There's still, 8 weeks, 8 games or so?
Mm-hmm.
So you have, give or take, half the season. Final, 40% of the season.
Mm-hmm. What can Justin do to turn things around? Well, before we get to that, let's just finish up this game.
I can't. I don't know what to say. Novotel, man, just hats off to him. And let's have some fun here. At the end of the game, first 2 goals of the season, Seb Verde, right?
That's right. Yeah. So well done, Seb. He picked up 3 points in this game, 2 of them goals.
Yeah. But not to be outdone, player of the game, 6-point night, hat trick, and 3 assists.
Double hat trick. If I'm not mistaken, I'm going through I think this is one of the reasons why Maddie wanted me to go through the stats. I think this might be the most points in a single game,
especially from one team. I'm not
talking about goals.
Excuse me. Not.
I'm not talking about goals.
Single game, sure.
I'm not talking about goals in a single game by a single player. Assists and goals.
Oh, okay. Individual effort. I'm thinking team-wide. If you look at our SHL stats page,
no.
And you look at team-wide, the domination of this team on the top.
Well, yeah, but I mean, I can go back in history, and I remember games where it was like teams were scoring like 12 and 13 goals.
I was not part of the SHL in those days.
So I'm just talking about individual level points, which goals and assists. I think this might be a record.
Top individual performance.
Top individual performance. I'm going to go through and I'll set up a stats page on the SHL website, which you can find at siamhockeyleague.com. Yeah, I think this is a record, and I think that's why Matt asked me about
to look
that.
it up.
So I'm working my way through the stats, all the past games. So it's quite impressive. That was just amazing. Well earned for that Rolling Stone Pizza Player of the Game.
Here's that interview.
I'm here with the Rolling Stone Pizza Player of the Game, Tom. Congratulations.
Thanks very much.
6-point game.
Yeah, it doesn't happen often, but
happy with the team. I mean, I don't think I scored much goal alone, so all assisted. So playing well together, good synergy, good dynamics, and good bounces too. Always helps.
You guys got off to a great start in the first period. What happened there?
Well, 100%. You got to start 100%. Don't give them a chance to get in. You know, if you score first, get a uphill on them, and I don't even know if you say uphill, but well, you got 1 point. So yeah, I got a good start. I got to start all the game 100%. Be solid defense. Then we kind of relaxed a bit, so they scored. So we got to be careful for that. So always be solid defense, offense, and yeah.
Excellent. Well, congratulations again.
Thank you very much.
And here's Maddie with our Jerky Monster Play of the Week.
What is up, my fellow SHL enthusiasts? This week's Jerky Monster Play of the Week goes to Patrick Forstner for his game-winning goal for KCG. Your Jerky Monster is waiting for you with Dom. See you guys next week.
So this is our second to last makeup game. We have one more after this coming Sunday. The first game of the night is the Novotel Spitfires versus Siam Mandalay. Now, we all know who you and I like.
They're playing so well.
They're playing so well, but
Across
outside
the
of that,
board.
I've been, like I've said before, I've been a Spitfires fan since day one. What can Siam Mandalay do to beat the Spitfires?
Well, another big part that we actually didn't mention, and I should say, is they were missing a ton of players in this game.
Yes, they were.
Didn't have Captain Jordan Ashton.
Yep.
Didn't have Mike Friesen
Mike Wilson.
Mike Wilson on defense. And off the top of my head, I can't remember who else they were missing in this game. They did have Michael White, who plays really well as a sub, and Pooh, who plays really well as a sub. So did have some guys who played well in their place. But that being said, get a full roster back and play a full, complete game.
Mm-hmm.
Don't let your style of play, which has been effective for 90% of the game, wear you out so much that you have nothing left for the final moments.
I think playing a physical game against
a team with this skill level,
Novotel Spitfires, it'll be like another
if you miss
Spitfires aware.
Yeah, if you miss the puck and you give them just a little bit of time and space, we can't on more than one hand. They have players that can make you pay.
Yep.
We've said their names too many times already. They've got now almost three players with 20 points.
Now Jordan can rally his team.
Yep.
I've seen him do it. I think he can do it again, but he needs to do it from the opening faceoff.
Okay.
He's got the 3 minutes prior to the game, and everything up until that point, starting now, up until the game, to get his team mentally prepared for this game.
Would you also give him the advice, like you had tried to give to Aware, to have top defensemen shadow their top offensive players?
I think in this particular game, I wouldn't do that because the Novotel Spitfires, if they were to do that, I think Siam Mandalay would lose their legs again in the third period.
Okay. I think their team defense is strong enough, typically, at least coming off this prior couple weeks that I've seen them play, final month I've seen them play. Mm-hmm. Their team defense is quite strong, and Dream, he's been a little inconsistent, but overall he's a very solid goaltender, and he will keep you in every game that he plays a full game, and the same for the whole team. Mm-hmm. And offensively, especially the crash line and their tie line also complements them quite well. They play to the whistle. They never take themselves out of the play. They win face-off. Well,
they get penalties.
Sure.
Outside of that,
Point being is that they do not let their, in my opinion, emotions get the better of them for the most part. There are some players that can happen to them on occasion, but it works for their benefit as well because it gets them fired up. So, skill level on this team that they have, defensive physicality that they have on this team, quality of the goaltending, being opportunistic. If they play a tight game, they can be the only team to beat Novotel now 2 times, because CM is the only team who's beaten Novotel this far.
Yeah?
Novotel is only one blemish. It's against CM, the final game of 2020.
Yeah. That would be...
Now, Novotel...
So they can do it. If they can play that game
full
again.
Full game.
They have to play from whistle to whistle. or buzzer to buzzer. It'd be interesting to see.
Should be a fabulous game, and I'm excited to watch it. Can Novotel keep this incredible streak? They're just burning. Spitfire is such an apt name.
I think it's going to be a close game, though.
Regardless.
Oh, for sure.
I mean, I know we said that a week ago now
games.
with Aware in them, but this especially,
Yeah.
I will be incredibly impressed
Yeah.
if Novotel can again have the margin of victory. I mean, I'm not expecting a complete...
As long as the Siam Mandalay aren't missing some key players, I think
Sure.
it's going to be a very close game. Now, if they're missing Jordan again, and if they're missing Mike Wilson again,
it's tough.
it makes it a
You lose chemistry and you lose these things.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see. I would expect... I want to be impartial. I expect a good game. I think the Kings are going to stay the Kings, but I expect a close game.
Yeah. And then in
Second
our
game.
second game, we have Aware versus KCG.
Coming off of an amazing comeback, of course, KCG.
They're going to be on fire. They're going to be on
a huge
fire.
amount of momentum, and coming off such a
That's
a
going
tough
to be
loss. It's going to be hard. So going into this game momentum-wise is the exact opposite of what you want if you're the underdog, But
coming off the momentum going down for Aware, how do you turn that around? Because that was
you got to start playing for pride, guys. You can't let the crap that's happened to you up until this point in the season.
so they've got to
linger.
forget about this last game.
And I know that's easy for me to say, but why are you here in the first place? Why are we here? We're not professionals. We're all doing this because we enjoy hockey.
Yeah.
And at some point, you need to enjoy hockey again. That's the basic message I would give your team, right?
Mm-hmm.
You got an incredible amount of talent on your roster.
Yeah.
And for just whatever reason, you haven't been able, up until this point, to make these pieces gel.
Yes, that's very true.
Whether it's emotions or somebody has a bad
But
game this night.
we see they're starting to with that
of course
second
they have
with
elements
that
of
second
it.
line. So,
They have elements of it.
but they need to do it as
A team.
As a team, absolutely. So it's
Have fun, support each other.
Yeah, I think that's if they can do that, that's the only way they'll be able to compete with KCG in this game.
KCG, the amount of talent on that roster as well, offensively and defensively, to really. And then he's so humble. Leo can steal a game all by himself if he wants to.
He's done it.
So,
but
you're facing
that
a tough
also
task.
being said, Lance can do it. Lance has won a cup.
Of course,
Everybody has written Lance off,
he
and he's
never
proved
takes
everybody
himself. I can't say it enough. He will play hard. I wish the rest of his team would take his fire sometimes, right? Now, sometimes this gets him into trouble because the whole team-wide does it. Sometimes this
Right.
gets you into trouble and you take a bad penalty, etc.
Yes.
But you need some heart. You gotta throw away the crap that doesn't serve you. Take what you can that's positive out of these games.
Mm-hmm.
Take your positives. You need to make on-ice, in-game adjustments, right? You need to communicate more.
Yeah, but do you want to break up that second line?
What I mean to say is, like, if, okay, you see on this night X goaltender is favoring this side, or this is not really working for us in this context, whether it's passing, odd man rushes, bringing the guy down from the point, a stretch pass versus dump and chase.
So, like a few games ago when Justin was telling, hey, guys, when the puck is passed to you in the slot, don't grab it and line it up. Just shoot it at the net. Don't just, like, that's what you're talking about.
You need a little bit more than that, because if you just blindly do that, then you're not picking your spots. You can do that philosophy, but in this case, then I would say don't just shoot at the net, shoot low. Get pad rebounds, because that's more harder for a goaltender.
True.
Or blocker, so just don't favor the glove. Go low. Tell your other guys, okay, if this is our philosophy, you need to crash the net, look for rebounds. If this is our philosophy, we need to look for deflections. If this is our philosophy, we need to look for screens. Also, if this is your philosophy and you're crashing the net, you need to skate extra hard to get back then, so you're not putting Lance and your defenseman on an island where they're having to face too many odd man rushes.
And don't let the defenseman get cut deep all the time. That
Correct.
has been a bit of a problem for Aware as well.
I would say
They're great offensive defensemen, and they like to carry the puck up, but they need to get back as well.
play a full game.
Yep.
Don't take yourself out of the play, whether because of emotions or whatever. Take the small victories. Play this play. Win this shift.
Yep.
Win the next shift. Win the game. Well, I skipped win the period, but anyway.
But I mean, yeah, everybody understands. So, Yeah, it's that's the big thing, and I think one of the problems is, as a team, that's not what they're doing. And what can they do to turn it around? I don't know anymore. So I would love to see it. I absolutely would love to see it, and I don't want to take anything away from Harrison and Jesse and the rest of KCG. Yeah. But Aware has the talent to do it. I think we've got one line that is now playing as a line. We need everybody else to start playing as a team and get it all working together. But how do we do it?
Sure.
All right. That's all for this week. We'll see you at the rink.
The opposite was very strong. I was good.
Siam Hockey League News is brought to you by Big Chili Magazine, the best read expat lifestyle and news magazine in Thailand. It covers interesting issues in Bangkok and the region while bringing its readers engaging stories and various exclusive interviews, food reviews, and more. You can find the Big Chili magazine in bookstores and online at thebigchili.com. The music for the opening and ending credits are brought to you by DJ Caucasian.